just want to start with sharing the screen.
Okay, so
and how do I do that? Record, caption, pulse, whiteboards,
go share
reactions.
screen, share screen.
Yes, share screen, and then which one? This one.
Let's
Okay,
see.
so now I
Go make it full screen.
uh.
Make it full screen. The PowerPoint. You should go down to the left, to the right corner to make it full screen, the PowerPoint.
No, the problem is that now this Zoom commands are overlapping my PowerPoint commands, so I can't reach them.
So reduce then the size of your screen. I mean, probably you have magnified your windows.
Okay, stop sharing.
Go to the settings of your Windows and make it less than 100%.
Exactly. Okay. So screen share. This one. Go to Zoom. Oh no. No.
Just Vangelis.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, this one. Okay.
Please make it full screen, this one.
Yes, I will. So, slideshow from current slide. Do you see now what you need to see?
Excellent.
Super, and now I can start.
Okay, so let me start. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much to be with us. I know in Greece is a bank holiday right now, so I will appreciate the participation of my colleagues in this first seminar of the second cycle of Pythagoras seminar talks. The aim of the talks is like to share good policies regarding how to teach or how to learn mathematics. So it's a great honor to have with us a colleague from Aalborg University, which is part of Pythagoras. It's Associate Professor Olga Timchenko. Olga works in the Department of Architecture, Design and Media Technology, the Technical Faculty of IT and Design. A few words about Olga. She has participated in 9 projects. Her work has been published in 52 articles, and she has received 2 prizes regarding their activities. She has a unique profile, in my opinion, since she has an experience from the market, and now she works, the second part of her career is within the university. So she combines some qualifications that are very, how can I say, very valuable for a university, since she knows what market is looking for. So I believe that the trainings that she has offered to her students has transferred these experiences as well. Today, Olga will start, Olga, not Eva. So I'm sorry about some of my emails. This is going to teach us, she's going to discuss with us about thematic workshop as an essential part of the mathematics course for non-mathematic majors. So this is also very nice for non-mathematicians. So for the next, let's say, 40 minutes, the floor is yours, Olga, and then we are going to have 10 minutes for our discussion. Thank you very much for your contribution and for your flexibility, since we have changed the date of your presentation by 1 week. Thank you.
Thank you for this nice introduction, Costa. And yes, you reminded me something from the beginning of my university career when I came from Lego company. And now you would think what a company making plastic kids toys has to do with mathematics, but in fact it has to do everything, because Lego was moving into digital brick description, digital games, virtual environments, all that stuff. And so when I stood for the first time in front of my students, and my first job at university was to teach mathematics for these media technology students, I told them, guys, I'm going to teach you only mathematics that I haven't forgotten from school, and I haven't forgotten it because I was using it in my daily work. It was basically some linear algebra, transformations, whatever you would need for 3D graphics. And I was hoping it will go really nicely because I bought new mathematics from my theoretical education and I knew it from daily practice. But then I faced harsh reality that teaching nowadays young people mathematics is not that easy task. And since then, now 20 years, more than 20 years that I'm at university. I mean, I'm still questioning and puzzled with that. How can we use modern technology, modern tools, everything that we have in front of us to basically kindle that excitement, sense of usefulness, sense of power that you basically get when you know mathematics? And that is a question that I'm still having, and I still don't know the answer. So now let's go back to my presentation. And although majority of people here are friends from Pythagoras and some other projects, I could see a couple of names that, sorry, I don't know. So I am going to take freedom to do, I like to call that shameless presentation and promotion of our own university, because we deeply believe that what we are doing makes sense in nowadays world. You might agree, you might disagree, but at least Aalborg University is made for slightly more than 50 years ago, established with this problem-based learning paradigm as the essence, we like to say, as it is in our DNA. And now what does that mean? It means that basically whole educations that we have, everything, any study program and any of the faculties belonging to Aalborg University is organized via this problem-based learning paradigm. Now, some geography lesson, you know, I was horrible in geography when I was at school. So I somehow want to teach now geography. You see, this is Europe. This small red spot with so many even smaller red spots is Denmark. Costas, I think that we could successfully compete with Greece with the number of islands we are having here. And then zooming into our beautiful campus that some of you visited us. And yes, this is real passage from one building to another. And yes, it looks really nice even in the evening, even more in the evening. And yes, you are all invited to visit us anytime you want. And now, because it is quite interesting for mathematics teaching, I think that this image describes really well what we are trying to do when we are teaching our media technology students mathematics. Can anybody unmute themselves and say, do you have the vaguest idea what is this? Especially this, maybe this on the right hand can serve as kind of a clue what the hell this can be. Put your wildest imagination
I think it
on.
should be part of the Sydney Orchestra building. This reminds me.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
I was working
And
security.
the story behind it that I really love, it is basically Danish architect from Aalborg who won the content to build Sydney Opera House, and he won that on freehand writings. So he freehand drawings. So what he did, pencil, paper, and brilliant idea. And then when he won, and now you should construct those VR surfaces, they figured out that the only engineering way to do actual construction is that all these beautiful shapes are basically cuts from the single sphere. They all have exactly same curvature. So isn't this a wonderful connection between mathematics and art? And coming back from Aalborg all the way to Australia and being world famous. Aalborg University has not much to do with this approach, but at least that shows the Danish way of thinking and that way of thinking that we're also trying to put into our students. So basically, I still want to make a big case for this problem-based learning, although I know that in Pythagoras, we did our best to promote problem-based learning for individual courses. And then we called it mini PBL, and I was arguing both with Rodrigo and whomever bothered to listen that it should be called micro or nano PBL if it is on course or on lecture level, because real PBL is on whole education, maybe mini PBL is on one project, one study program, but we can discuss that. So basically, we assume that students learn best when they apply theory and research-based knowledge in their work with their authentic problem. So that is what we also are talking a lot now about soft skills, how that intrinsic motivation and collaboration, communication skills, cooperation competencies, how all of that is essentially important. So that is basically, in our case, knocking at open door, because we really deeply believe in all of that. So basically, for those of you who haven't listened to us from Aalborg so many times, we believe all study programs are organized that students formulate a project proposal within their project group, and they also choose their group members by themselves at the beginning of each semester. And then within a team of that semester, teams are characteristic for every study program, they should formulate a problem, they get supervisor, and then they go on. And this approach works now for more than 50 years. Aalborg University is ranked around 300th place in the world, so we are not that bad at all, and we are among top less than 50 years old universities, although we are now 50-something years, so we don't belong anymore to that category. Our graduates get a job nice and easy in Denmark and all over the world, so things are working pretty well. And all these premises that we claim and that many other people promoting active learning are claiming, all that holds. So not that you should just repeat knowledge, you should construct your own, it should be relevant, and all this stuff. And university just makes this scaffold so students can reach their real connection. Okay, how do we do that? When every semester has its thematic framework, but what do students know? How can students gain necessary background knowledge to solve those problems that they might have? So, Denmark is a country of compromises, and Aalborg University also made a compromise in this area, and we believe that offering for half of education those 15 ECTS per semester courses and letting students use that knowledge or any knowledge they gain by themselves to solve the problem for another 15 ECTS, that is kind of viable approach. So what we do, we teach for 50% of the time, and for another 50%, students are working on their multidisciplinary project within a scope of that semester. That is how everything is organized. It was working more or less okay, as I told you, for more than 15 years. Now I would like to draw your attention to this sentence about courses that I put here. Courses are developed and taught with reference to the theme of the semester or specific external requirements for the study program. Because that is where the problems start. And they start twofold. Courses are developed and taught with reference to the theme of the semester. This sounds logical. So, for example, semester is about making some, let's say, installation in virtual reality. Courses should be about three-dimensional graphical modeling and programming, interaction into virtual environment, and something about human perception and affordances. That kind of makes sense. Even in that approach, we noticed issues that lots of students are getting very high grades on project work, and they make really nice projects that often get published in presented on conferences or published in magazines. But then on the courses, although those relevant courses, they don't get that high grades on the exams. So some years ago, Aalborg University launched an initiative to figure out what's going on there and to connect courses with projects even more. That is one part of the story. But now what affects us here on this talk, because this is not about general education, but about mathematical education, is this second part of the sentence. Courses are developed and taught with reference to specific external requirements for the study program. Unfortunately, mathematics belongs to that category. I don't know how it goes in your countries and at your universities, but in Denmark, if something should get a title of engineering education or natural science education, but for engineering education, I'm sure, then students have to have a course in mathematics taught by mathematics department, which is more or less that classical calculus and linear algebra that in fact hasn't changed since some of us older here. I mean, I studied back in early 80s, and that was more or less that classical engineering mathematics course. It most likely wasn't introduced that in the 80s. Maybe even my parents had something very similar. So that is now external requirement. That is what law says. And law also says it has to be taught by the mathematical department. And now we can think about that. From one side, it is nice for mathematicians to serve whole university with all those service courses. From another side, that is, I think, the least rewarding job you can get as a mathematician. You get to teach some students, I put that in the title, non-mathematics majors. Usually I title that soft engineering students, because these media technology students that I mostly take care of, but also some similar educations, they are something in between. They're between technology, art, and human-computer interaction, that usability, stuff like that. And mathematics is far from being their life interest. Very often, they barely passed their mathematics courses in previous education. And so now you have to teach them. You have to teach them something that government requires, but you should put all your effort to make that relevant for themselves, their future profession, in order not to lose their interest completely. I don't know if you can relate to this problem, but that is what we are trying to resolve at media technology department. So this is illustration of what I just told you that you get this visualization of our semester flow. See, at the beginning of semester, we talk what they need to learn, how, what will happen, and then starts heavy coursework and quite a vague project work. During the course of the semester, there is less and less coursework. Courses are finished sometimes in this semester by the end of November, and then end of November, whole December, that is serious project works, and then in January and in June are exams. So we are not having that uniform coursework during whole semester. There are much more lessons and coursework at the beginning of semester, much less by the end, and then project work catches up. And now just let me repeat this problem statement. We are having engineering educational programs that are bonded by that government requirement to have classical mathematical course, but they transcend division between technical, scientific, and creative disciplines. Media, technology, how can you creatively use nowadays tools of expression, being that film, computer game, virtual installation, augmented reality, interactive poster, you name it, whatever it is, how can you use that to send some message or some knowledge or some information to your target audience, whatever your target audience is? That is what students who come to our education are really interested to learn. So basically, that industrial use of mathematics, classical machinery, classical electronic engineering or electrical engineering that I got trained many years ago, robotics, whatever. No, now we have those same, when you know mathematics, you can see it's same linear algebra, it's same differential equations now solved numerically. I'm talking physics engines, game engines, all that powers nowadays, film effects, computer games, all that stuff. When you know mathematics, you can see it's basically the same mathematics that we learned many, many years ago. But nowadays, students don't see it. They just ask why I need to know whether a system of three linear equations with three unknowns has a solution or it's contradictory, or what are you talking about? They simply don't appreciate that system of three linear equations with three unknowns. Those are their three planes of view in their virtual environment, and that determines, can they see their enemy, can they collaborate with their collaborator, can some object be placed wherever they want to place it. That's basically that same mathematics that governs that. And then nowadays, sorry to say, I'm really trying not to become bitter old lady and say nowadays youth, because I know if I say anything against nowadays youth, my grandfather would get out from his grave and tell me, Olga, what did I tell you about nowadays youth? Nowadays youth is only better than we were when we were young. That was credo of my grandfather, who was elementary school teacher. So nothing wrong about nowadays youth. They know many, many, many things that we had no idea when we were young, but mathematics is not some of their strong fields. So, and we still have to teach them mathematics. Okay. So what I have presented to you now, and I hope I didn't put all of you asleep, is just a university that believes in problem-based teaching, that lets students do whatever they want within semester team for half of the semester, but we need to offer some basic knowledge for another half of the semester. And one of those courses that causes most troubles is mathematics. Now, let me go just back slightly in history of these media technology studies. When we started some 20 years ago, and it was at that time, it was totally revolutionary education, because who would teach designers and digital creators university, at technical part of university. And then in the first study plan, we didn't have mathematics. We were just assuming that if we give contemporary technological tools like 3D modeling tools, game engines, and stuff like that to our students, they will somehow figure out how to use them. And then after 2 years, it was students who said, sorry, we don't understand. We don't understand what is this transformation. We don't understand what is this rotations, gimbal locks, numerical differential equations. What the hell is that? Can't we have a decent mathematics course? And at that time, we followed through that. Yes, we are engineering education. Yes, you should get engineering course. So mathematics curriculum came into mediology by requirement of students. And since then, we are having headaches. Okay, be careful what you are asking for because you might be getting that. So, now how I go into previous slide? Well, then I just wanted, in order not to put all of you asleep, I just want to jump some 10, 15 years of changing mathematics curriculum basically every third year and go to this latest one when it was from 3 years ago. So we were unlucky to start this with COVID generations, which causes much more problems that we expected. But you can see that this one is more or less completely classical requirements, just what we did. We put both linear algebra and calculus, some traces of linear algebra and calculus into one single course. And then what we did, somebody had a brilliant idea that instead of giving this mathematical course on the first semester of bachelor studies, that most likely would be standard way of doing, we put it to the third semester with two hopes. That first they can remember some rudimentary mathematics from high school, so that programming, some basic interactions, whatever what we're teaching them in first 2 semesters, they could somehow be covered with their previous mathematical knowledge. Then by using those technological tools on the first 2 semesters, they would build a need to learn more about transformations, vectors, numerical integration, all that stuff. And then when mathematical course comes on the third semester, we will have more of their attention. They will feel a need to learn that. And then, sorry to say, I don't know how politically correct is it to say this, they've already invested whole year. And so when mathematical difficulties show up, they won't quit education that easily as they might do if mathematics is just first course they see at university. I don't know how it goes at your places, but the dropout rate of first semester students, general dropout rate at all universities in Denmark is around 20%. So between 15 and 20%, that's considered okay, business as usual, what can we do? But around 20 or even more than 20%, that is alarm. And then study boards are invited to do something. And so our solution to minimize dropout rate was to move mathematics from first to third semester, also with these explanations that I told you before. So that is the case that we are dealing with. And now you can see I jumped over that slide with knowledge, but knowledge is most likely also saying they need to go something about basic algebraic calculations, trigonometry, differentiation of functions of one variable, vectors, vectors operation, matrices, then equations for lines, spheres, planes. And of course, they should know about that on that level of knowledge. We're using Bloom taxonomy, knowledge applications, etc. And they should figure after all that skills, where am I? They should also know how to use all this knowledge in setup of multimedia application, being that computer game, virtual installation, whatever I mentioned. Okay. And then we were lucky to get very engaged mathematics teacher from mathematical department who delivered the course for the first time last year. And he was now, I'm telling you honest story. I don't want to paint this with better colors than it is. To be open, he was shocked with the lack of knowledge of the students he had to teach, of lack of knowledge of our students who came to third semester. And our students were shocked with super high level of mathematics required for them in their own words. And quite a lot of them dropped out after third semester. They're calling that third semester mathematical semester, although in our eyes it's not. So it was somehow misunderstanding between previous generation of students and mathematics teacher and us other teachers. So, we are taking students very serious. I don't know what you do when students complain that openly. I mean, the worst kind of complaints is when they just leave. So we had plenty of meetings starting back in May, during whole summer, and now in fall. And we were discussing that structure of mathematics teaching that was also last year should be refined. And that was back in May. And we got that very enthusiastically. Oh, yes, we can do this. And when you start designing some course, you have to start from the end in mind. And what is the end of the course? Unfortunately, that is the exam. Because it's super hard to measure what they will know 10 years or 20 years or even a year from now. So classical way of ensuring quality of education at university, that is the exam. So how are we going to organize mathematical exam? It will be oral exam. It was also last year, oral exam, when students should randomly pick up a number from 1 to 4, relying to number of a corresponding workshop. And then they should talk what they have learned on that workshop. So workshops are essential part of the course. And then we hoped, because that is kind of like 4 nano projects, pretty well guided. In this sense, students can't choose their topic. They can't choose their project. That project is chosen by mathematics teacher and with lots of discussions with us other teachers. So what I want to put on, how to say, lucky coincidence or good coincidence, we can collaborate. All us teachers are on the same side. We can talk with our mathematics colleague, although we are from different faculties. He listens to us, we listen to them, we are trying to do best for the students. We are also listening to the students, but now, disclaimer for the end, we are still not there. We hope we'll be much further back in May, but now we have to be real. So what did we do? We divided that course plan into 4 different areas. First one being that classical functions, polynomials, exponentials and logarithmic functions, and trigonometric functions. And then proposition for the workshop was representation and filtering of images, including cosinus waves, basically discrete cosine transformation in Python. This was the only slight disagreement that we had with our mathematics teacher, because what I suggested on our first meeting was that we do these examples in C# language, which is scripting language for Unity game engine. Some of you may know Unity game engine, but it's not important that you know it or that you know the name. Maybe you know some other game engine. That is that big software that powers and that enables development of computer games. So it covers all the physics, interaction of the bodies, intersections, velocities, whatever, and then moving from one frame to another, so that basically numerical differentiation and integration. So it's pretty nice environment that we are using to teach our students programming, and then it can be used not only for computer games, it can be used for many other quite serious installations in 3 dimensions, in augmented and virtual reality, including hospitals, rehabilitation, autism training, many other things. So maybe game engine is not good name for now, kind of reality simulation engine, something like that. But that part, that was too far for our mathematics teacher. He said something that most likely majority of you who are mathematicians can relate to. He said, but Olga, students should have right to see some basic mathematics calculations, you know, those nice hand-driven calculations. And then what was acceptable for him was programming in Python, because Python is close to MATLAB, MATLAB is close to mathematical way of thinking, and also Python is close to what we are teaching students on higher semesters. I mean, they have to use Python for some statistical analysis. And so we were thinking, well, yes, if they can represent those equations in Python, then we can only teach them to translate that into C#, and that would work. So that is agreement and compromise we made with the mathematical department, and we were hoping that will work. That was the first one. Second one, that will be now on the 10th of November, vectors, matrices, and linear equations, which is so close to what we are requiring for computer graphics and modeling. Then we have this differentiation and integration. And you know, for virtual reality installation, position, velocity, acceleration, that's just direct differentiation, and then going back is direct integration. And so proposal is not to deal with theoretical a solution of differential equations that I don't know. Now it's my disclaimer. Since I graduated, although I worked in robot control field for a while, I never ever solved any single differential equation by hand. But I dealt with, I don't know how many numerical simulations. So that is what I believe is important. And also our mathematical colleagues agreed. And then final workshop is about curves in plane and space and parametric curves, including splines, acceleration, smooth splines, all that, both mathematically interesting and insanely interesting for our students. Completely direct implementation. And okay, we were thinking that will work nicely, everything will be fine. And then the first workshop was a month ago, so that is first and last data I have. Thank you, George, so much for sharing students' opinions on that with me, so I have some data to show you. It's not only my blabbing. And then what students said. Of course, whatever students say, you take with a pinch of salt, but with quite a serious pinch of salt. And we can discuss. I tried to rearrange and group these students' feedback into, how to say, thematic groups. And you can see even some contradictory claims. Of course, when you don't like to do something that whatever time you spend on it, it feels like forever. So they were complaining that they are using lots of time for mathematics because they have mathematics class 2 times per week. But as I told you, it's just at the beginning of the semester. How much time they should use. They have lots of reading, and then they have hard time finding time for their project because obviously they want to do their project. They don't want to deal with mathematics. And then they complained about gap, still that, that problem of transferring of knowledge that we really hope to solve with these workshops, because they got 3 theoretical lessons on that topic, and then they should go and do workshops. So what some students said, that exercises during classes that illustrate topics were easy and straightforward, but then it was huge gap to the workshop that required doing something practical. And then also wording, we have that Danish, English, some terminology, so maybe students do have some points here. So that this is also that I already explained this. So workshop is difficult. Some are suggesting some pre-test. I'm absolutely sure that if we gave them some pre-test, they would complain that pre-test caused lots of anxiety. So we also need to think how to do that. And then we are also coming to some feedback that, sorry, grandfather, but I doubt whether your students would dare to say something like this. Tuesday, 8 in the morning is too early. Friday afternoon before Friday bar. Everybody's tired. We have that tradition of Friday bar when everybody gets too many beers. And that is the highlight of the week, of course, not mathematics lesson that persisted. This is basically when teachers ask why so few people are coming to the classes, because that is another problem that we have with attendance. And they said, okay, back in early October, there were some viruses in Denmark, some very nasty viruses. So in fact, this is correct that lots of people were currently sick. And then some people don't show up because they want to learn with their own pace. Frankly, I don't believe into this excuse. I heard that so many times, but So basically, for now, also, I got a mail from the teacher that I didn't include in this presentation. He was not completely happy how first workshop went. He was complaining of lack of level and lack of engagement of the students. Students were slightly more positive towards the course than last year. So I still believe we are on the right track. And I still believe that next 3 workshops, maybe second workshop was already held. Yeah, in meanwhile, I believe we are on the right track, but I still believe that we need to take some of these students' feedback seriously and refine that first workshop and maybe something following for the next presentation, next version of the course. So basically, I can't say anything clever for conclusion. I just want to say, yes, problem-based project work and learning is applied to all study programs that we do at Aalborg University. We want to strengthen students' skills that regards problem identification, problem analysis, problem formulation, problem solving, communication, cooperation, and evaluation of work process, and the quality of their own work. We succeed that in general, and somehow this does not completely work for mathematics, but we will keep on trying. So thank you for your attention. That is everything I prepared for now. If you have any questions, suggestions, anything to comfort me, I'm you will be more than welcome.
Thank you very much, Olga,
So
for this
I'll stop
very,
sharing the screen. So
thank
now,
thank you for sharing us your case study, because it looks like a case study that you are
exactly.
working very hard, and we have similar issues and similar challenges regarding mathematics. And you know, in my opinion, this lack of math literacy, of lack of interest on how to teach, how to learn mathematics, or for mathematics itself, creates, you know, a lot of problems in other courses as well. For me, mathematics is the language of speaking. So if
But
you
it
cannot
is.
speak, if you cannot speak the language, then how can you teach anything? I have some questions. Please share with us your slides. I have some questions, but first of all, I will provide the floor to the audience if they have any questions, or should I start?
Yes, I want to say thank you very much for Olga presentation. I want, if it's possible, the examples made in Python, if it's possible. Thank you.
Sorry, I don't have those examples here, but if you are interested, you can send me email. I can ask course teacher, and then I can send you something. I can't just dig them out now.
Okay, thank you very much, Olga. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Augusta. So I have some questions. It looks to me that by listening you bypass the problem. So you still have not responded to your students why they should learn mathematics. You know, for me, this is not answered yet. So how do you plan? I mean, I like very much that you combine in the third semester, if I got it well, you know, these mini projects, these workshops, that you link fundamental terms of mathematics with some projects. But still, I mean, does this answer to them why do they need mathematics? Because it looks from the responses that still they are not convinced in order to participate in these workshops and contribute.
You know what we were hoping to achieve? I mean, that third semester, what I didn't say, I don't know which slide you wanted me to show again, but let it stay like this so I can go to any slide anybody asks about. Third semester, we are also having computer graphics programming course that basically uses, in order to make a computer model of any 3D body, animate it, place it in the world, whatever, you need this linear algebra and calculus. So basically, teacher of computer graphics programming, and there's also George who is teaching image processing that also has some mathematics behind, that basically mathematics course will be connected with these two other courses. And we hope that that connection will become kind of clear. But you are right. Maybe we really need to make that even more explicit. We were thinking it is explicit enough. Apparently, it's not.
And since you are working in Denmark, and it looks like that the central policy in Denmark, since you have applied BBL as one of the national pedagogies through your universities, how have you ever mapped the math literacy gap between high school students and your demands in the first semester in the university? Because 20% of dropout looks to me a panic. There is a
total panic. We are
terms.
also in total panic.
So how well prepared are the final year high school students as they are coming to the university in order to, someone should be adapted, in my opinion.
That is really a good question. That is really good question. What we do have in Denmark at high schools, there are 3 different levels of learning mathematics that students can opt to get. Basically, they're called ABC, and they correspond to the fact that high school in Denmark is 3 years. And so on the C level, you have mathematics only during 1 year. On B level, you have first 2 years, and on A level, you have all 3 years. And then obviously you learn much more. So what we require is that students either have passed mathematics A level with even minimal grade, or we figured out that sometimes it's even better that we require B level with some medium to good grade. So those are our two requirements. Either having all 3 years of mathematics and then barely passed, which is pretty minimal knowledge, or having for 2 years with quite a good grade. And then year after year, we are shocked how, in fact, little they know. That's just fact of life.
Do you offer any pre-calculus course for these students that they are weak in order to
And now you're pressing the button. Yes, we do, but only in main campus in Aalborg, not in, we are, how to say, satellite campus in Copenhagen, which is kind of pretty weird. But that is volunteering. I don't think that they have even any less mathematical problems in Aalborg.
Okay, so probably we can, as a Pythagoras, to introduce our pre-calculus course in order to help them. Any help will be, I think, well accepted.
That would be lovely. I just think,
we can run, for example, I was thinking a COIL, a collaborative online international learning for the students that they are interested in following this pre-calculus course.
That could be lovely.
I mean, we offer it. So
the problem is the problem is, I think, on this slide of mine, that students' response, no, not here.
They don't have time and they are over-occupied with other activities, no?
Exactly. And see, they say lot of time for math 2 times per week. 2 times 2 hours per week, that is too much for our students. So basically, they would like to learn mathematics somehow by not investing time. Sorry, that's kind of impossible. But then what to do? So how to gain that interest? What I'm really puzzled is I read so many times on different websites that usually people working in graphical industry, making 3D games, assets, things like that, they said, and when I wanted to become serious professional, I realized I have to learn mathematics. And then I did, and usually they make very nice tutorials about mathematics needed for graphics. So we were hoping that by introducing students to computer graphics gently into first 2 semesters, and then seriously in the 3rd semester, they will build that need for mathematics during 3rd semester. So maybe we need to do that better or more explicit or somehow different.
And, by listening also, I doubt, at the beginning of your slide, you mentioned about problem-based learning and they should work their research-based knowledge. I cannot call it research if they don't have the patience in order to learn, how to solve a linear equation or what does it mean? What kind of research they are going to base. This is like looking for Google. Research.
For those basic mathematics courses, we can't talk research. Research is more on projects. For semester projects.
What are the skills that they have in order to
exactly, they have no skills to do research in mathematics, nor interest.
Anyhow, I think that it's very interesting. As Pythagoras project, we would like to pilot this pre-calculus course. I mean, if we can offer it, later on as a COIL, asynchronous or synchronously, it's something that, even, few students, they can evaluate. And I think that we offer something in volunteer base with costing nothing to the university in order to cover some of the fundamental knowledge. I don't know how is. I think it's not so easy as it helps, but it's something that we can offer. I would like to thanks. I have another question. You mentioned about dropout rate of 20% by following different pathway with nano projects. What is the dropout now?
Sorry?
You mentioned at the beginning that the students, they face dropout rate, at least at the beginning when the mathematics were in the first semester, of 20%. Moving
even more than 20%, you
Yeah.
know, around about 20% is average dropout range of the first semester students all over Denmark, all
over
programs,
Denmark.
all universities.
So this means they stop their studies.
Yes, they just figure out it is not what they expected. They made the wrong choice. Because, you know, now you need to know something about Denmark. It's pretty easy to get enrolled into any of the educations. And it's pretty easy to find some of decently paid job that pays the bills without enough qualifications. So, how to say, dropping out of university is not such a tragedy as it might sound for other parts of the world.
So
Here
Olga,
it's just, admitting that you made a mistake.
So Olga, here, so I will say that Denmark is in a very bad position regarding AI era. What kind of soft skills, these students, they should have? What kind of critical thinking? What kind of knowledge that builds the critical thinking in order to dominate, the AI that is with us? Because we are talking about the only difference and the only parameter that defines the equal participation of humans with machines is like the soft skills, critical thinking through knowledge. If you don't have knowledge, no critical thinking, then how are we
But
going to survive?
why do you think the Danish graduates would like that? Because once when you are through this problem-based learning studies, 3 or 5 years, depending whether you do bachelor or master, you develop those skills quite a lot. You have to negotiate your group members, their different interests, their ideas, your ideas 10 times before you graduate. We are just talking dropout rate of those freshmen who come from high school and are not quite sure what they want to do with their lives. We are not talking soft skills of graduates. Two completely different things.
Correct. So I would like at this point to end the session. I would like to thank again Olga for sharing with us this challenge, because it is a challenge. As she said at the beginning, it's not easy to solve it. We are facing this, why we should learn mathematics, all over the place. I still remember I had this question on my mind when I was starting my undergraduate learning in physics department. I realized, why do I need mathematics when I finish my PhD? Quite late, but at least, I have a very big respect on why you should learn and understand. It's a culture to understand the numbers and how to apply them. I would like to thank you. The next lecture in Pythagoras will come on the 4th of November. We are going to host a professor from Western Galilee College in Israel. He's going to speak to us about math as play, how, what, and why to use recreational math in education. So you will receive an email from my side in order to participate. I would like to thank all of you for your participation and Olga for her nice contribution. So thank you, have a nice night, and see you very soon. Bye.
Thank you, Costa. Bye to all. Bye.